Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. Thank you today for joining me on another video. And in today's video, I'm going to be talking about the iPhone 8 Plus and iPhone 10, and specifically, which one of these is the better phone. You might be thinking that the iPhone 10 is obviously the better choice, but you might be surprised of what I've learned throughout using the iPhone 8 Plus for a month and the iPhone 10 for a week now. And both of these are pretty different, and they have a very different experience to them as well. The iPhone 8 starts at $699 and the 8 Plus starts at $799. So $700 and $800. iPhone 10 starts at $999, which is $1,000. So there's a $200 price gap between these two phones, and I want to find out, is it worth that $200? So let me run down what you're getting very quickly for $200. One, you're getting an OLED panel with 5.8-inch display, and you're getting Face ID instead of Touch ID on the 8 Plus. Now this is something I consider to be a little bit of a drawback instead of a positive, because I think Touch ID is a lot better, and having Face ID is not as good as Touch ID. So one of the other differences is that the camera now, both the front and back camera have slight improvements to them. So the 8 Plus has a single OIS sensor, and the other sensor, the telephoto lens, is EIS, electronically stabilized. Both of the cameras on the 10 have optical image stabilization. So the entire video experience of the iPhone 10 is going to be very fluid, and there's going to be a lot more quality in comparison to the 8 Plus, but not by that much. Then there's the front camera, which because of these Face ID sensors, you get a few more features such as animojis, and mainly you get the front portrait mode, which is actually pretty nifty. It's pretty cool, but I don't think it's worth paying extra. So let me get into comparing these phones, and you guys decide for yourself which one you think is better. So let's get right into it. So let's start off with comparing the unboxing experience of both of these phones. So as you guys can see, the box of the iPhone 10 is particularly smaller than the one of the 8 Plus, despite having the larger the larger display. The form factor of the iPhone 8 Plus obviously has the bigger one. So let's start off with lifting both of, let me just start off by describing the box. So the iPhone 10 box is very similar to what we've seen in the past. It's a white box with the phone, the front of the phone on the top, and it has iPhone written on the side, no number, no 8, no 7, nothing, no 10. It's just iPhone, Apple logo, iPhone, and in the back, you got information like your storage and other stuff. So now, let's go up and look at the iPhone 8 Plus box, which looks a lot nicer in my opinion. So this is a gray box to match the space gray color of the phone. Keep in mind, this is also the space gray version of the phone. That is the space gray 10, but this is the space gray 8 Plus, and it comes as a nice space gray box. So it has the same iPhone and Apple logos at the top and bottom, and again, just the size at the bottom. And one more thing I'd like to note is that the iPhone 10 box, it has this little bit of a shiny surround on it because of that stainless steel. It denotes that it has the stainless steel bezels. Looks really cool. And let me just lift the box of both of these. So very similar, again, designed by Apple in California, similar sizes. Let me take out the orientation package of both of these, because these are actually going to be a little bit unique to each other. So on the 8 Plus, we have the SIM card tool. We have welcome to iPhone. Very simple side button, 3D touch, Touch ID. Not much to go into, very small packet. SIM eject tool. And we have some warranty information and the regular Apple stickers. Now, let's look at the iPhone 10 box, where we have the Hello. Now, this is a very large document pamphlet thing. Not very large, but it has like 3 sides to it, and it's double-sided, so we get to see like hello, the welcome to iPhone. It gets you used to, you know, Face ID, home, how to use the home button, the, you know, swipe gestures, just the other, you know, volume buttons and everything. Then how to use the side button. It lets you know that you have to press and hold it to activate Siri, press once to wake, and press twice to activate Apple Pay. All just, you know, basic stuff to introduce you to the phone. Then it also has the same old SIM card eject tool, 2 warranty documents, and the Apple stickers as usual. So let me put these off to the side, and we'll focus on the phone. So situated inside both of these boxes, face up, is the iPhone 10 and 8 Plus. So I obviously have them turned on because this isn't like reboxed unboxing, but let me just get it out of the boxes. So this is the iPhone 10, let me put it to the side, and here's the iPhone 8 Plus. Again, let me get it out and put it to the side. Now here's the weird thing. So the orientation on these seem to have switched around by Apple for some reason. So instead of having the headphones at the top, it's now at the bottom, and the power brick sits at the top here, whereas it was on the bottom here. So same old power brick on both the useless 5-watt power brick. I don't know why Apple even bothers to include this. They might as well not even include a charger, because this is so bad. It's really slow. What I do recommend to you guys is don't waste your money on the fast charger Apple sells. Buy the iPad charger. It's $20 compared to the $45 or $75 that the fast chargers cost. And you don't need to use a USB Type-C cable on them. You can just use a normal USB A to C, which is included in the box right here below the headphones, which obviously, again, they have the headphone adapter on both of them. And here as well. So let me just put this off to the side. And then, obviously, our USB cables on both of them. So this is the basic unboxing experience, guys. I think I preferred the box of the 8 Plus just simply because of this awesome color. The 10 is it's a very simplistic box. It's just a phone box. There's nothing special about it. Let's move on to the next part of this test. All right, everybody, so let's do the biggest part of this comparison. That is the physical appearance. And these phones have a pretty unique design. Both of them are very similar, but they look quite different from each other, mostly because of one reason, and that is the materials used on the chassis of the phone. The iPhone 10 has the stainless steel, and the iPhone 8 Plus has the metal, the aluminum, both of them are very sturdy, but the stainless steel is just a lot harder, and it's a lot more secure, but it is a lot more prone to scratching, whereas aluminum isn't that as prone to scratching. So let's look at the back first of all. So both of these phones are the same exact color. I have them both in space gray. One of the best parts about the iPhone 10 for me right now is just the fact that I don't have any branding here as I do on the iPhone 8 Plus. It's a really annoying thing to me. I don't know why the 8 Plus has to have it, but it is what it is. The iPhone 10 is going to be my daily driver anyway, so I'm glad that I don't have this useless branding here. So the biggest difference on the back has to be the camera orientation. So instead of having the cameras, the mic, and then the flash unit like a separate in a vertical row, what we have is it's all in one unit here. So if you guys look closely enough, you guys can notice that the camera, the mic, the lens, the flash, everything sits in one thing. So here's that microphone, here's the flash, and here's the two dual sensors. And it's roughly just a little bit bigger than the camera on this. So they've managed to put a lot of stuff in a smaller place. And this is mostly because the Face ID sensors are here up front. What Apple had to do is change the orientation of this camera layout, and they had to bring everything a little bit closer to each other. However, it doesn't really affect functionality in any way. It's just a design aesthetic. I preferred it on the 8 Plus, to be very honest with you guys, but it's still really, really good looking on both phones. So the thing I love most about the iPhone 10 has to be that stainless steel border. It's so good looking. And the power button on this is a lot larger than it is on the iPhone 8 Plus is. So I don't know if the camera's picking it up, but you guys can see the size of this here, so much larger than this. And again, same thing here. We have SIM cards on both of these right here. Again, similar, we have the antenna bands at about the 3/4 point on the phone, just the really bottom. Again, it's very hard to see it on the iPhone 10. It's a lot more visible on the 8 Plus. So the largest change between these two devices is the way you interact with them. So now instead of having Touch ID to authenticate, you have a passcode. So let me just enter that passcode really quick, and there we go. So as you guys can see, this unlocked with my face. I had to unlock this with my thumb. Now, one of the biggest differences you can see is the shape of the display and how the 8 Plus display is a lot wider, whereas this is a lot more thinner and taller. It looks really good, but I think that I preferred the wide display a little bit more than this thinner display. Not a big deal, and I've gotten used to it a little bit as I go on, but I still, whenever I pick up the 8 Plus, I feel like this is a lot more comfortable, especially because of how well things are spaced out. Let me just show you guys. Let me go on to this white screen, and I'll show you guys the shift. So there is a little bit of blue shift on the iPhone 10, whereas the iPhone 8 Plus, it kind of has a yellow shift. So both of them have a little bit of shift. However, it's nothing that is too bothersome. You don't really notice it unless you're setting out to look for it. And I didn't even notice it until I put both of these phones beside each other to compare. The blue shift is a little bit more easy to identify, but there is also a little bit of a warm shift on the LCD display as well. The thing with OLED displays is they have a tendency to do this. This isn't a flaw in the phone, it's just a flaw in the technology. And hopefully in the future as we move on, we'll see a little bit less of the blue shift in OLED panels. So next, let's move on to the software experience. So this is where the biggest difference besides the design is between these two phones. Now, the thing with the iPhone 10 is that since it's ditched the home button here, we have a very new way of interacting with iOS that has never been used. So for example, home button was just tap the home button and you can get out of an app. So let me just show you Safari. Once you're in Safari, all you have to do is tap the home button and you'd be out. Now, since there's no home button, there's nothing to press. What you have to do is swipe up. So that's one of the gestures. Then multitasking is you could have pressed double tapped on the iPhone 8 Plus and it would have come up with the home button. Now in the iPhone 10, you have this gesture where you pull up and either to the right or pull up and just hold there and it will load up. Another thing is now Control Center is gone from the bottom. So Control Center has to be accessed from the top here. And I'm still getting used to this. I'm not liking the position and it's not been easy to use it. I accidentally exited apps so many times and it's just not been very helpful. So the notification panel is the same for both. You just slide down from anywhere at the top. So for the 10, you can't slide down from the right part. That'll activate Control Center. But however, on the 8 Plus, you can slide down from anywhere and it brings down the same thing. Again, Siri was one of the newer things. So Siri, you had to hold down home button and you'd get Siri. Now, if you want Siri on the iPhone 10, you have to press the power button and the power button brings up the Siri. Now, again, if you want to exit Siri, just tap the power button and it'll exit Siri. Since the home button has been ditched now, we have another new functionality for screenshots, which used to be the home button and the power button, which used to go like this. Press them at the same time and you get a screenshot. For the iPhone 10, you have to do is power up and power button and, volume up and power button. I'm losing my words today. And you'll get your screenshot. Now on the iPhone 10 to switch off the phone, you can't just hold on the power button because it'll activate Siri. So I'm holding it down and it's just on Siri. Whereas with the 8 Plus, if I hold it down, you'll get the menu. Eventually, it'll pop down. So what I'm going to do is hold down volume up and power, or volume down and power. Both of them you can use here. You can interchangeably use them. So you've got your power off menu here, or you can use this. So you have to hold either of the volume buttons with the power button down for 3 to 4 seconds and it'll pop up. And actually it's a little bit faster than using just the power button. So at the same time, you can see that the iPhone 10 comes up a lot quicker than the 8 Plus does. So one of the last changes that you have to interact with the software is now, if you wanted to pay for something with the iPhone 8, what you could have done is just used your fingerprint and that would have allowed payments. So now instead of so since we have Face ID, how it works is, so let me just show you the 8 Plus. So if I download this, it'll ask me to give my Touch ID to install and it'll be done. Now if I do the iPhone 10, what it'll do is it will say double click to install. So now I was confused. I'm like, wait, do I double click here? Where do I double click? And what ended up happening was that the double click to install was actually double click the power button. So once you double click the power button, what it does is it starts Face ID. So there we go, there's Face ID, and let me just go closer to it. And there we go. So instead of having that, we now have Face ID to do this download. So those were the software differences between the iPhone 8 Plus and the iPhone 10. So let's move on to the next part of this comparison. Alright, so now I'm going to be doing a boot up speed test. So let's find out whether the iPhone 10 or 8 Plus boot up at the same time. As of now, I think they're going to be very close to each other because they're very similar. It's just the display that's different. So let me just show you guys. Both the phones are not charging, but they are connected, and they're connected to the same power source. So when they've shut off completely, I will turn on the power source, and we'll see which one boots up faster. So let me just turn off the iPhone 10 and the iPhone 8 Plus. And once they're done, once they've shut down, we'll start the test. All right, so both the phones are now shut off. So I'm going to be powering them on in 3, 2, 1, now. Both of them came on at about the same time. iPhone 10 turned off a little bit quicker there for that flash it does. iPhone 10 was back just a hair quicker here. 8 Plus is the first one to boot up. Very interesting. So that was that. Alright, everybody, so let's move on to the Antutu benchmark test. So this is not only a test of Antutu, but it's going to be a test of how well the phone performs with heat, and just to give you guys an idea of how hot you can expect your phone to get when you're using it under heavy load. So what I'm going to do is airplane mode on both with high brightness. Oh my god, it gets so confusing sometimes now because of the way that you have to interact with the iPhone 10. Everything is a little bit switched around. So let me get into Antutu. So the test is started on both. Let's see how it performs. Again, the point of this test is kind of to judge the heat variations, not just the graphics performance. So as the test goes on, I'll be trying to find out the heat using my thermometer, and we'll see which one gets the hottest. For reference, right now, the room temperature is about 77 degrees, 77 odd degrees. So let's just keep that in mind, and let's focus on the rest of the test. So we're at about the 50% mark, and the hottest point on the iPhone 10 looks to be about 92, 91 degrees. And the hottest point on the 8 Plus is about 88 degrees. Let me just keep it. So 90 degrees is the hottest I saw on the 8 Plus. Whereas the 10 is definitely hotter. There we go. I just got 95. 95. All right. So let's check in after this test is complete, and then we'll see what the final temperature was. All right, everybody, so we just finished the Antutu benchmark, and let me zoom in so you guys can see the results. So the iPhone 10 has 234,812, whereas the 8 Plus has 209,899. So a pretty good gap there in between the two. I don't know if it's just because of the display or it's something else, but they do have the same GPU and CPU as far as I know. So let me do a quick little temperature test before we finish this off. So, got 96 degrees is the hottest, so I got 96. All right, 96 is the hottest point on the iPhone 10, 8 Plus, I'm sorry. iPhone 10, 98, 97.9. So, 97.8, 99 was the highest I saw at one point. So, let's flip the phones over and see how well the heat is spread across the back. So, I have both the phones on their back now. Let's see how well they performed through the heat. So again, the glass back it's a little bit hotter towards the top right, top left near the camera, but otherwise it's uniform. Let's check on the 10, 88, 90. All right. So the entire top of the phone is hot, whereas the bottom is cooler. On the 10, on the 8 Plus, it's just the top left. Interesting results. Very interesting. All right, let's move on to the next test. Alright, everybody, so for this part of the test, what I'm going to be doing is comparing the audio output of the iPhone 10 to the iPhone 8 Plus. So, as far as I know, they're both supposed to be very equal to each other. So, just to prove to you guys, both of them are at full volume, and full volume. So, let's go into YouTube and play a song. And last time what I did was with the 7 Plus and 8 Plus, I had the decibelometer below the phone. Now that I kind of realized that since it's dual speakers, I should have it kind of in the middle of the phone right here. So what I'll be doing is, once I start the song, I'll hold it right in the middle above this, play it for 30 seconds, and then we'll see what the highest decibel rating was. So I'm going to be really quiet here, and I'm going to put my mic down right close to the phone so you guys can hear the audio quality. Let me know if you feel like there's any difference in audio quality. So let's get to it. So the iPhone 10 scored 95.4 decibels. Let's move on to the 8 Plus. So the iPhone 8 Plus got 95.9 on the decibelmeter, so very close to each other, and that's pretty much what Apple claimed, that they'll be very close to each other. So let's move on to the next part of this test. Alright guys, for the last part of this comparison, I will be comparing the cameras of the iPhone 10 and iPhone 8 Plus. I'll be comparing the front camera with normal images as well as portrait images on the iPhone 10, the rear camera, and the video with the rear camera in 1x and 2x zooms to test the OIS on the iPhone 10's telephoto lens. So let's get right into it. So this is another camera test with the iPhone 10 on the left and the iPhone 8 Plus on the right, and you guys can see that both of them are performing pretty similarly, and both of them are on 1x zoom, so both have optical image stabilization. Let me know if you guys see any difference, but I don't think that there seems to be any difference from my initial overview, but let me know. Camera test of the iPhone 10 on the left and the iPhone 8 Plus on the right, and both of these are on 4K 60 FPS with the 2x optical zoom. So the iPhone 10 has visual optical stabilization, whereas the 8 Plus does not. So let me know what you guys think. Is the 8 Plus more shakier? I'm trying to shake it a little bit more on purpose. I am walking around, so tell me which one you guys think is better. So that wraps up the test, guys. This was a very interesting comparison, and at the end, I think my final thoughts are that the iPhone 8 Plus might be the better buy over the iPhone 10 now, because of a simple thing. The iPhone 10 is still in its infancy stage. There's a lot to be developed. There's a lot more to be optimized. There's a lot of apps that aren't still fully supported. There's not a lot of optimization, and honestly, the 8 Plus feels like a more polished device. It's surprising because I recommended that you guys go with the 7 Plus over the 8 Plus. But now if you are looking to buy an 8 Plus or a 10, I think that the 8 Plus is a really good choice over the 10, unless you are particular about having the best and newest iPhone. If you just want a phone that works and you're used to, I think the 8 is a really good phone, especially because of the one thing that I've noticed while I've been using the 10 and 8 Plus. The 8 Plus battery life is excellent. I'm a very heavy user, and throughout the day, I end up with I unplug my phone at about 7 a.m. and I don't plug it back in until about midnight or 1 a.m. And the iPhone 8 Plus has always gotten me through the day with about 20% or so left. The iPhone 10, on the other hand, it's a two-charge device, so I need to charge it twice a day at least to get through the day. And this is becoming a little bit annoying. However, since it's the newest, latest, and greatest, obviously I have to use it. And honestly, it has a lot of cool tricks up its sleeve. This display is amazing. I'm loving it, but there's still a long way to go. I feel like there needs to be a little bit more optimization on the whole. So that's a wrap for this video, guys. Thank you for watching. Let me know what your comments are down below. What did you think about both of these phones? Which one would you buy if it was your money on the line? Subscribe to the channel for a lot more content like this, a lot more content with the iPhone 10 and 8 Plus to be coming. And be sure to check me out on social media. I update all the behind the scenes stuff and just random day-to-day stuff. So be sure to check them out. All the links down below. Thank you for watching. I'll catch you in the next one.